Europeans, because that's the infamous one
That's
where you ran the well, you won the 4x4, a great team, but most famously you lost your shoe right at the start of your leg. It was the third leg, wasn't it? You ran.
I did. Well, I mean, I was both myself and Chris Akabushi were actually there as we were actually the first team. We were there as backup.
Yeah.
So we ended up with two reserves in the team because Todd Bennett, we went down. I remember going down to watch Todd Bennett, God rest his soul, run the 200 meters heats. And Chris is obviously he's friends of ours, a training partner of Chris, and Todd gets in the blocks and bang, out he goes, and his hamstring goes twang, he's up in the air and he hits the floor, and I turn around to Chris and Chris goes, well, that's me in the team. And I'm promoted to first baggage carrier, at that point. And then I ran the semi-finals with rested Roger Black. I ran the semi-finals, and that was my job done, really. And it was only during warm-up that Phil Brown got injured. And I was kind of drafted in at the last minute into the team, onto the third leg. And so I only had about 45 minutes notice that I was running. Right. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I remember it quite vividly. But I remember it like you remember it, like watching it on TV, because you don't remember it when you're running.
Funny that, yeah.
But it was and I can remember Akabusi, because Akabusi took my shoe off. He stood on my heel as he gave me the baton, and I can remember that feeling so vividly.
It was your teammate, was it? Did it? I didn't realise that was your teammate.
It was Chris. Who I was playing golf with last week. He was. He hasn't changed a bit, but yeah. So I ended up. He never admitted it, by the way, until video evidence proved it was him. Because I think Vladimir Krylov, the Russian, or the USSR as it was back then, he got the blame, but it was actually Akabusi that did it.
Right. Okay. But obviously a great result, and immortalised by David Coleman, describing it as the fastest sock in history as well.
Another one of Coleman's fantastic quotes. What does that actually mean?
I don't know, but it's special as having it articulated by David Coleman, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good.
It's every day of my life since then, and I mean every day of my life since then, somebody has come up and gone, "Have you got both shoes on today?" And you see it as if it's the first time I've ever heard it, and you think how long ago that was. It's mean to think how long ago that was. But as I said, I can't remember running.
It's funny, isn't it?
People go, well, how did you decide to run? Well, what do you mean? Did this decide? You just run.
Yeah.
I was lucky I had Roger Black on the last leg.
Yeah.
My job was to get the baton to Roger, let him do all the glory stuff, and I just sat on the USSR on his shoulder. That's all I did. Just sat there and just handed the baton over.
Very good. Yeah, I'm not going to dwell on every championship like that one, but I do look back on that '86 Europeans as being a really a standout championships, because when you look back now, I mean, even beyond the British team, like you've got, Sergei Bubka in the pole vault, Inga Christensen. It's just full of iconic names from athletics. They're just absolute legends. And the British team as well. It must have been. I mean, you probably weren't aware of it at the time, but I guess looking back now, a lot of big personalities there. Coe, Cram, Pavette, Linford Christie coming through, Daley Thompson, Liz McColgan. Yeah. But even Jack Buckner, now CEO at UK Athletics. Yeah. It was. Absolutely. Were you conscious of how it's full of big personalities, that team, isn't it?
I mean, the interesting thing was that I remember me and Tommy McKean, got into the team at the same time. I remember we were late for the first time ever. The British team get together. We were late for the first one. We came stumbling in, but in the room, you're absolutely right. We're all these heroes of ours. Daley Thompson, for goodness sake. Steve Ovett, who was my personal, he was my sort of idol, if you like. And Cohen and Crammy and all these people. Sally Gunn was in there, and Tessa Sands and Fatima Whitbread, and all these people that we'd grown up watching. All of a sudden, you're sitting in the same room as these people, and I mean, it's quite astounding. You look back. I mean, '86 was just ridiculous.
Mm.
You know, that's when Linford Christie came to the fore.
Mm.
You know, and Roger Black, Tommy McKean. You know, that 3 Spitfires out the sun. You know, McKean, Cole, Cram, 800 meters. Crammy and Cole in the 1500 meters, and then Jack in the 5K. Just absolutely. Since every day you looked, there was people just doing these outrageous things. And we're all sitting in our team bus.
Yeah, and in some ways, I guess the Scottish scene at the time was also maybe not aware of it at the time, but look back at that was a golden era. You know, you had Tom McKean, you mentioned Yvonne Murray, Liz McColgan. Actually, many parallels with today's golden era from Scottish athletics, where it was like that middle distance fulcrum of, you know, Laura Muir, McColgan Mark II, if you like, Whiteman, Kerr. What's it like being part of a group like that? And does it make a difference? Do you get pulled along by that?
I mean, yeah, I think I remember at the time, because we all came in at about the same time, and all of a sudden it's a golden era for Scottish athletics. I think you know, and we all went out roughly about the same time as well. Tommy McKean and I got my first international with Tommy, and we both retired on the same day. Right. You know, completely separate from each other, and we all both, by the way, applied for the police on the same day as well. Completely separate from each other. And he's still a policeman now. But I always thought at the time, I mean, Elliot Bunny, who was kicking around at the time as well, who I had in Parliament 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's back from South Africa. He was in Parliament a couple of weeks ago. Jeff Parsons, you know, Tom Hanlon in the steeplechase.
Yeah.
We had but it was all the same people. We're overrepresented as a country, but it was all the same people, and we all disappeared out of the sport about the same time, and there was nothing behind it. So this idea that we were doing fantastic wasn't completely true. We're doing fantastic at that level, you know, out with the system, if you like, but the system itself hadn't brought anybody through behind it. But we turned the fact that we had, like, I mean, I've known Tommy McKean. He's my best mate. I've known him forever. He just lives 20 minutes from me. We were in the team all the time together, so we always had you know, that sort of camaraderie, and we, all these people, you know, with us all the time. It did help. There was that. I think without question there is that comfort to be had from these people. Even, you know, Tommy and I did a bit of training together as well. So yeah, it was always good to be Great Britain. It was always, you know, it's like having the Scots chip. You know, we're very balanced. You know, the nation people, we've got a chip in both shoulders. It was always good to have, you know, a Scottish twang round about us.
Absolutely, yeah. So skip forward a bit onto your first Olympics in '88. Now you're the best of the Brits there, weren't you? The 400 meters. You ran a PB there.
Yeah.
5th in the relay.
Tried to run a really big PB in the semi-final because it was 44.5 to qualify.
Yeah.
And 50 meters out, I was still there, and then, you know, just operating at a pace I never operated at before. And, you know, you want to run an Olympic final. As it was, I did put my blocks there in an Olympic final, which was the 4x4, and we didn't run particularly well that day. The one time the team really was disjointed, we ended up 5th. I mean, but I ran 3 rounds of the 400, and then ran 3 rounds of the 4x4, all from blocks. And then I remember the first leg. I don't watch the relay at all because I didn't run badly. I mean, I ran 45.5 on the first leg of the 4x4, which is the long leg. Yeah. But as you know, the stagger is so big in a 4x4, and again we were on the inside, and the USA were on the outside of us. Yeah. And on my leg, I ran 45.5, which is respectable for the first leg. But the US ran a world record for the first leg. They ran 43.8. So because of the extended stagger, it looks like I came into the home straight about half an hour after he did.
Yeah.
Even though when you hand the baton over, you can see that we're basically kind of equally second with the Germans and the East Germans and stuff. it just looks ridiculous. It looks as if I was jogging. So I never watch it. And it's the biggest disappointment for me is not getting a medal in that Olympics.
Right. Okay. Well, you obviously weren't overawed by it. I mean, you produced your best at the right time.
I mean, by that time, you've got to remember I'd run, you know, I'd already won European indoor silver. In fact, when I did the European indoor silver, I think it was the 7th fastest time of all time in Budapest. So I'd done that that year. I'd also done the Worlds in '87. I'd done this, I'd done Europeans and Commonwealths. So I was fairly bedded in as an international athlete, and I think I had a great year in '88. I mean, I ran 45 seconds 12 times or something. I was in really, really good shape in '88. And again, I think because I was, I could be seen, I still talk about this stuff, because I was rubbing shoulders with such talent, such people who winning was the norm. That undeniably rubs off. That attitude of, I'm going to get on the podium, kind of rubs off. So, as you say, the rooms that we walked about in, you bump with people, you bump into people I still bump into, undeniably rubs off. So not overawed. I mean, 45.2. I'm at 45.2 shutting down, I have to say, in the last 50 metres. And I wish I'd just kept the foot down. It's easy to say now, take the Scottish record. I ran, as I said, they say you should always run your personal best at the biggest championships, and I can say that I did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good. What was the sticking with that? I mean, it's unavoidable. The biggest thing at that Olympics was Ben Johnson testing positive. Obviously, a massive story at the time. And I know as a fan of the sport, it was shocking as a fan. What was the reaction like in the Olympic Village when that news emerged?
You're not surprised.
Really? Yeah.
Not surprised that he was a drugs cheat. Quite surprised that the powers that be were prepared to go after him. And there's a lot of rumours behind that. There's a couple of people found out about the drug test, therefore it had to come out. They couldn't hide it. But I mean, not surprised. I mean, everybody knew. I mean, I ran against Ben Johnson in '86 in the 200 metres. And he wasn't that size. He didn't look like that. I think, and he was running 10.3 at that time. 2 years later, he was running 9.7. Don't think so.
Yeah. So it was people knew then.
Yeah, I mean, and there was I think that's one of the things people go on about. I knew that a lot of people I was running against, Eastern Bloc, USA, they were on drugs. Darryl Robinson told me. See, in 1986, the last race I did before going to Europeans was in Athens. And it was a kind of late night meet. And I remember after the meet, going back to the hotel and just getting, a bite to eat and a coffee outside on the street as you do in Athens. And it was with Darryl Robinson, who was at that time, he was the junior world record holder.
Okay.
And he basically just told me they were all on drugs. He told me. And a young guy, I'm looking at him going, but that's cheating,
Aye.
And he went, well, I'm earning $80,000 a year. I'm not giving that up. I said, but it's cheating. I couldn't say anything else, but you're cheating. So I knew, we all knew that we were.